Okay, welcome back. We'll go straight in. This is The Mostly True Adventures of Homer P. Figg. We're on by Rodman Philbrick, and we're on chapter 20, The Caravan of Miracles. Professor Fleabottom has a way of listening that makes you think he really and truly wants to hear what you have to say. It's something about the way his kindly, humorous eyes seem to soak up every word, eager for more. Even his waxed yellow mustache looks interested, the way it quivers as he listens. Before I know it, I've told him all about Uncle Squint and how he made me and Harold live in the barn and work ourselves to the bone and never fed us proper, and how Squint sold Harold to the army, and how I aim to save him from dying in the war. And I aim to save him from dying in the war because Harold is so true and brave he's bound to be killed. I tell him about the clergyman Webster B. Willow and the horrible Nibleys, and how they stole a sum of money intended to buy my brother out of the army and had me put in with the pigs. When I'm done talking and feeling more than a little sorry for myself, this is where we remember Homer just told us, like he did before in the Brewster house, he just told us that he told Professor Fleabottom what happened, just like it happened. But we'll find out from Professor Fleabottom's comments more about what the story might have really sounded like as Homer told it. When I'm done talking and feeling more than a little sorry for myself, Fleabottom pats me on the head and says, "That's quite a story. I especially like the part where you single-handedly defeated 50 bounty hunters and freed 1,000 slaves." Well, there was others that helped, I grudgingly admit. Jebediah Brewster and Samuel Reed pitched in. Oh, well, sometimes the truth works best when simplified, Professor Fleabottom allows with a twinkle in his eyes. Now then, having heard your amazing tale, I wish to make 3 observations. First, if you are still determined to find your brother, then we may be of use to each other. For I go where the army goes. To fight in the war? I ask, staring at his curled-up mustache. He chuckles and shakes his head. We go to turn a dollar, he says. The money is where the army is. Well, I've got money, if only we can find Mr. Willow. Fleabottom shakes his head, looking very serious. Listen to one who knows, Homer, he says. That money is gone. That money is long gone. The pair you describe are professional thieves. There are many like them, working the ferry terminals and train stations, preying upon innocent men like your Mr. Willow. It is an old ruse. The marriage was undoubtedly phony, an excuse to pick his pocket. By now they will have taken the money and dispensed with him. Truly, I'm surprised he didn't end up in the same crate as you. Can you really help me find my brother? Fleabottom shrugs. I can only promise to try. Because of the nature of my business, I have certain associates in uniform. I give you my word of honor. I will ask after Harold Figg, newly recruited, and we shall see what comes of it. Well, I got my doubts about words of honor. Mr. Willow swore in a Bible and pledged his word to Jebediah Brewster, and look where that got me. But I fear what Professor Fleabottom says is true. The money is gone. If I want to save Harold from the army, I've got to find him on my own, or with whatever help I can manage. My second observation, says Professor Fleabottom, is that your experience living in a barn may be useful. The close proximity of a few small swine should be tolerable. Well, I don't mind a pig, I admit, unless it tries to bite me. We will endeavor with all our powers to make sure that does not happen, he promises grandly. And this might be my favorite part of the whole book right here. My third and final observation is that you need a proper bath. The pungent perfume of the pig is still upon you. The suffocating scent of the swine still exudes from your person. In a word, sir, you stink. Professor Fleabottom guides me along the crowded waterfront, past gangs of men swarming over ships and barges to where his wagons have been unloaded from a Boston steamship. Each of the 3 brightly painted wagons has a team of 2 horses, and the nags look none too frisky. I'd been hoping to see an elephant, or at the very least a proper lion, but he explains that his is not a large animal show. We are small in everything but spirit, he adds brightly. The Fleabottom Caravan of Miracles is but a humble attempt to entertain our brave troops, providing temporary release from the horrors of war, and such medicines as are needed. In this we do our duty as citizens of the Republic. What kind of medicine do you sell? I ask. The best kind of medicine, he says, the kind that makes you smile. I never been to a real traveling medicine show because Squint naturally hates such things, but Harold saw one when our dear mother still lived, and he said they had a mermaid girl with fish scales on her skin, and a 2-headed snake in a jar, and a man that played the banjo with his feet. After the show, they sold bottles of Neurotonic Nerve Elixir. That was as powerful as sweetened rum, and smelled pretty much the same. Harold said it was a splendid good time, even if Mother refused to let him sample the medicine. "Minerva!" Professor Fleabottom shouts. "Show yourself, my dear." A wagon door opens, and out comes a skinny woman with hair so red it looks like her head's on fire. The fiery hair is not the best thing about her, though. She's wearing a sleeveless, tight-waisted gown, and every inch of her arms is covered with colorful ink drawings, right down to the fingertips. I'd never seen a genuine tattooed lady before, and it is truly an impressive sight. The drawings move up her arms like pictures in a book and make me want to know the story they tell. That's the 3rd time that Rodman Philbrick has compared something to a story and had Homer want to know what comes next. I think that fits in well with Homer being such a storyteller himself. And here's Fenton's story about Minerva. As a child of 12, shipwrecked upon a cannibal island, Minnie was taken captive in the South Seas, Professor Fleabottom explains. The savages marked her as one of their own. The red-haired lady rolls her eyes and says, "Oh, save it for the pitch, Fenton." In other words, save it for the show. That's not true. Then she wrinkles her skinny nose and makes a face. "Phew! What did you step in? Best check your boots." "Pigs, my dear," he says cheerfully. "Would you be so good as to see this young man gets a hot bath and fresh clothing?" She gives me a cautious look. "Does he bite?" "Only when provoked. Avoid poking him with sticks and you'll be quite safe." Hot water's 10 cents a tub, she says, sounding outraged about the price. "And 5 cents for soap." Professor Fleabottom reaches into his waistcoat pocket and hands her some coins. "Well worth the investment, as you shall see. The boy has talent, Minerva. Real talent. His lies are as sweet as honey and twice as smooth. Clean him up and let's get this show on the road." Chapter 21 is called Boiled by Indians. Far as I'm concerned, taking a bath is sort of like drowning with soap. Never could abide it, not since I was a little baby. Harold says our dear mother used to rinse me in a big tin pot under the water pump like I was a potato, and it always made me holler. So, naturally, I try to persuade Minerva, the tattooed lady, to save the 10 cents and buy us some taffy and licorice twists instead. Maybe a peppermint to improve her breath. Do you think he actually said to her, "Let's save the money and buy a peppermint to improve your breath"? "Bath is a waste of time, money, and effort," I'm saying, as she drags me into an alley not far from the steamship terminal. The alley's a dim and narrow place of fallen down shacks and skinny buildings that lean toward the harbor. A little dirt makes a person healthy, I insist. Look, all I gotta do is spit on my hands and rub 'em on my trousers. See? Good as new. She gives me a look that would make a weasel die of shame. 1. It's Professor Fleabottom's money, and we shan't be spending it on candy. 2. Hold your tongue or that will get a taste of soap too. Understand? What about 3? 3? When a person says 1 something and 2 this or that, usually they say 3 such and such. It's never just 1 and 2. There's always a 3. Everybody knows that red-haired folks tend to excite easily, and that is certainly the case with the tattooed lady. Without another word, sputtering don't count, she slings me over her hip like a sack of laundry, and before I can count to 4, we're inside a hot, steamy shack, and she's handed me over to the Indians for boiling. The Indians plunge me into a big wooden laundry tub of hot, soapy water and scrub me like a load of dirty shirts, and talk to each other in a language that sounds like a bag of bells falling down the stairs. Turns out they're not Indians like we have in Maine, that mostly live in the woods and fish and hunt. These are Indians from China. Similar eyes, but a different tribe. Best behave yourself, Minerva warns as they dry me off with fluffy towels and dress me in clean clothes. If I tell them you're half pig, they might have you for supper. Apparently being shipwrecked on a cannibal island makes Minerva think all foreigners are cannibals. For your information, Indians don't eat children, I tell her. They prefer full-grown females with red hair. I figure that will embarrass the tattooed lady, or at least make steam come out of her ears. But much to my surprise, instead of getting mad, she laughs. Fenn's right, she says, chuckling. You are a funny one. On the way back, she buys me a bag of taffy candy and a peppermint for herself. To improve my breath, she says, still laughing. He did say it to her. Back at the steamship terminal, Professor Fleabottom has the wagons ready to go, and he seems mighty eager to be shut of this particular area. There are skulkers about, he tells Minerva, his mustache all twitchy with nerves. You mean coppers? She says brightly. Where are they? Not coppers, he says, keeping his voice low. Spies. All about. Here and there. They're very clever spies. Spies, she says loudly. Why ever would spies be interested in us? Fleabottom puts a finger to his lips. Hush, woman, the world has ears. Then he notices me standing there listening to every word. Bad habit of mine, he says, clearing his throat. Joking about this and that. What a ridiculous idea. He goes on for a while, laughing and pretending the stuff about skulkers and spies is just a prank. But I know a thing or two about stretching the truth. And Mr. Fenton J. Fleabottom? He's a stretcher. I decide to keep my eyes peeled, just in case.